What's up, everybody? I'm very pleased and honored to have my good friend, coach, and owner of Northeast Pride on with us today for a KML interview. Joe, please give us a little background information on yourself and what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kyle. Joe Carreri, owner of Northeast Pride. We started the organization, back in 2011. So 2023 will be going into our 12th year. Started the showcase portion of our program probably in about 2015, 2016. We got 270 plus commits. Since then, we do a lot of players out of New York, Northeast Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut. Like I said, we had international student from Czech who you get to play with this last summer, Simon. I feel like we've really grown it, and I'm pretty proud of what we've kind of put together so far, creating a family-like atmosphere within, the travel program, which I know, especially for an organization our size, is kind of hard to do. But we really try to push that and have good relationships with our players. So that's pretty much. Yeah.
So, as you talk about having good relationship with your players, how important is it to have a good relationship with your travel coach, player to coach?
I think it's important to have a good relationship. Me myself, I'm pretty much open for all players. As you kind of attest to yourself, always answering questions, whatever you guys need, making sure you guys are on the right training path. Help with recruiting. Just really normal, everyday life stuff. Like I said, really try to create a family atmosphere here. So, I feel, the relationships you kind of gain, not just travel wise, but in life are, always all important. So good relationships are always important.
Yeah. As we talk about people you surround yourself with, how important is it to have a positive, supportive environment around you with players, family, friends? Like,
Yeah. So, positive support is always good. Um, the more support you have, the easier your life and, your accomplishments become. Um, if you're talking about like on like a coaching aspect, is that what you're trying to hit on with the question?
just your whole environment around you, everyone.
Yeah. So everything I try to do is positive. Negativity will get you nowhere.
Yeah.
So having a positive outlook on everything, will definitely not just help you here in the game or recruiting or anything. I think just being positive, personally about life, is really what you got to focus on first. So be positive and then take that into every aspect, of what you do. And then you end up having that support. So, if you're negative all the time, it's hard to have supporters.
Hmm.
If you're always negative. So, I think the positive part is definitely a big piece to coaching. I think it's just a big part, just a normal everyday
Hmm.
lifestyles.
Now I want to turn tides, and I want to talk about the recruiting process a little bit. What percentage of athletes, baseball players, don't know where they are as a recruit, like division wise, and like how should people know who they are as a player from like the floor to the ceiling, like if you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question because I don't think it's just the percentage. You got a good one there, Kyle. That's a pretty good question
Yeah.
because I would say, you know, uh, player wise, I couldn't really give you a percentage on what players
But
think.
like how
I
often?
think, yeah, I think what it is when you go through the recruiting is everybody sees what they see on TV, or they see what they see on social media, or you see what you read in articles, or you see the logo or the field or the locker room, the weight room, and you see that, and it's big and it's flashy, and sometimes like your eyes are attracted to big and flashy. So everybody has blinders and feels that they need to be here. Um, so I think as you kind of go through the recruiting process, the guys who have more success with the recruiting process are the guys that start to realize earlier kind of where they are. So when you talk about the recruiting process as total, and we talk with our guys a lot, as you would know, and we try to really educate our guys. But you have to see, like, everybody wants to be a Division One athlete, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. If you want to be Division One, you want to be professional. So being a Division One or being a professional athlete, it's a job. So if you're telling me as a freshman or a sophomore or a junior in high school that I want to be a Division One athlete, and or I want to play professionally or whatever it is, and I'm not in the weight room, I'm not eating properly, I'm not putting 100% effort into the game, and getting bigger and getting stronger and getting faster, then you're not a Division One athlete. So you have to really want it,
Yeah.
to play at the highest level, because there's always somebody coming behind you who's going to take that spot. So I think for everybody who so talking about percentage of people where that where if they feel that they know, I feel like it's hard to know, as a player, unless you really educate yourself. So I feel like the more players are educated, the easier it is for them to find their place, in the recruiting process. Um, and there's nothing wrong with being a Division Two, Division Three, junior college athlete, NAIA. I mean, I give you an example. I mean, my oldest son, committed early to a Division One school. Went there, wasn't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Went and played 2 years of junior college. Was the best, the best part of playing the game for him, because he got to grow as a player. He got to get stronger. He learned, and he played. So, and then from there, then you move on to, you decide what it is. Do I want to go? Do I want, as a player, do you want to go, and do you want to sit the bench? Do you want to play right away? So there's a lot of different factors I think you have to take into account. And when you're a freshman in high school, or a sophomore in high school, or even a junior in high school, like such as yourself, you're not taking that all into account. Like I said, you're going back and you're seeing what is there, on the social media. You're seeing all the stuff, and like you want it. So like you see it and you want it, but then take the athlete and say, all right, well, what am I doing to get there? If I'm not doing this to get there, then I need to reassess my goals. Well, like I said, I mean, Billy Wagner, should be a Hall of Fame relief pitcher, and he pitched Division III baseball. Scottie Pippen's a Hall of Fame basketball player. He didn't play Division I basketball. So, everybody has a different path, and everybody has a different timeline. So when you go through the recruiting process, you just have to, keep working, keep playing, keep trying to improve and get better. If it's not happening for you as a freshman, which a lot of players, it's not going to happen as a freshman. A lot of players, it's not going to happen as a sophomore. And then players as juniors, it could happen at any point.
Yeah.
We'll still have guys now, that are going to get committed, in their senior year and going into the later half of their senior year. So, just kind of like I said, it's going back to the beginning part of the question is what percentage, know. I don't think a lot of a lot of kids know where they belong. So it's up to us, people like myself, or guys in the in the travel industry, or anybody else who's involved in amateur sports to kind of help guide players in the right direction. So it's about teaching them, keep informing. If you're not informed, then you can't really assess yourself at all.
Yeah, that's perfect. And with like your explanation of what a player needs to like do if they want to play it, that's perfect. With
Right.
my next question was gonna be when does a player know that he's ready to go to big events and showcases? But you nailed that one with talking about speed. If he has to do like the whole nine. Let's
Yeah, I mean, I could elaborate more on that too. So,
yeah
like, how knowing when to go to events.
yeah
Listen, you're a player. Like, you always want to learn, right?
yeah
So, if you could take advantage of, like, if you're a seventh or an eighth grader, and you could take advantage of going to, like, a college camp, and, like, let's say you're going to that college camp, you know, it's not, maybe not be to be recruited as a seventh or eighth grader, obviously, but what can you do? It's a learning opportunity, right? So you're going to
yeah
get to work with the coach. You're going to get to be on a campus. So that's a seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th grader, junior, anybody. So any opportunity, if you want to play this game, if you have the opportunity to go to an event and get better,
yeah.
it's up to take advantage of that. Now, if you're talking about, say, like bigger events, so like, give me an example of what you're talking about, like by a bigger event.
Let's talk about like a like a big showcase in Florida, like a perfect game showcase. Like you're going down there, or you're going to like a camp or anything.
Yes. So, I mean, camps are totally different because there's a learning aspect
Mm-hmm.
attached to it, per se. So, there could always be value there depending on what your mindset is going into it. If you're talking about going to, like the perfect game winter showcase, like in December, that's out there. Um, think about it like this: one, it's in December. All
Yeah,
right, it's after Christmas, so it's dead period or quiet period for colleges, for Division One. So if you're an underclassman and you're going to that event, you're not going for exposure to colleges because they're not going to be at the event. So I feel like what happens is there's a lot of players hop into events, and like you're saying, maybe before they're ready, but they're hopping into them for rankings, they're hopping into them for social media posts, or maybe not the right reason. So picking an event that's going to give you some value is the way to go. So, um, like here, when we kind of encompass everything and kind of build events in for our players where there is value because we're able to be a part of it. We're able to help the players. We're able to promote the players. We're able to take video. So there's a whole lot of different things that we could do here. But personally, as an organization, built around say those events and those bigger events. But just the best advice is to really look at it and analyze it, see where the value is, and go from there. So if you're a pitcher and you're throwing low 70s, mid 70s, like you're probably not ready to go to that event. If you run an 8+, you're probably not ready to go to that event. If you're not one of the best players on your team, at that point you're probably not ready to go to that event. So that'll give you more of like a generic,
yeah,
there. But just make sure that there's value in what you do because there's so much out there. You want to make sure you're getting something out of it, which I think we do, very well with putting guys on college campuses. We work closely with PBR and run multiple events with PBR. Get guys promoted that way. So we kind of try to encompass it here as you've experienced yourself here, and
Yeah.
kind of give the players the best of the best of everything.
Now, in that response, you brought up rankings like PBR. Do rankings even matter? Like, for the kids, I want to know: do rankings matter, or
Rank
can you go
rank
wherever you want without being ranked, going to these events?
Yeah, so I mean, go back through, you pull up a bunch of major leaguers here and see how many of them were ranked or unranked. I mean, a ranking doesn't mean you're a good baseball player,
Yeah.
does it? So rankings to me are, it's great for marketing purposes. So it's like watching a commercial and seeing something that's really good and you want it. So, when the rankings go out on social media, everybody wants to be ranked. You want to know why? Because there's some notoriety with it, right? So everybody wants notoriety. Um, Problem is those rankings also come with some pressure. So when once you get ranked or you're a high level commit, you automatically have a target on your back too, especially if you're an early commit. Guys are going to be coming for you. But rankings and the matter of recruiting, I mean, not one college coach, since we've been doing this ever with all the guys we've had here, not one college coach has ever reached out and said, oh my God, I have to have this kid because he's ranked here by PPR or he's ranked here by perfect game. Not one coach has ever reached out and said, hey, like, give me your top ranked guys by perfect game or PBR, or by any other scouting service. Like, not one has ever done that. What a coach will do is, we obviously heavily promote guys to colleges. We send a lot of video, and we have a lot of stuff, here that we do to promote guys. But what'll happen is when the coach calls, they're asking, like, what's his character like? How is he in school? Is he a good student? Is he a good teammate? Is he a leader on the field? So those are the questions that are asked. They're not asking what your 60 time is. They're not asking how hard you throw from the outfield or how hard you pitch or anything like that, because they're seeing that. They're either seeing it on the field, they're seeing it in video, they're seeing that, and they want to know how you are as a kid. So you could be the number one ranked kid in any state or the country or ranked anywhere. That doesn't mean that you're a fit for a program. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, which, I don't think kids and guys should be as focused on the rankings. But we're in a digital world and we're in hot with social media, so it's definitely like it's the flavor right now. It's what
Yeah.
everybody wants. Everybody's like, how do I get ranked? Like, we've had players call, like, how do I get ranked?
Yeah.
Well, one, if you want to get ranked, you got to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's improve the numbers. But when you take a look at the rankings are based upon, they're not based upon your ability in game. A lot of the rankings are based upon your
Showcase.
throwing velocity, your 60 time, all measurable stats. They're not based upon what you do in a game when you take those and put those measurable stats together, in a game. I mean, you might be able to throw 94 as a pitcher, but do you walk
Sure.
9 guys?
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of different factors, which is why I say rankings, especially in the recruiting process, don't matter. I know that's not going to change the fixation of players, but in reality, they don't really matter.
Yeah. I think that was a great response, and a lot of kids need to start realizing this and like taking notice of this and not worrying about, oh, arm let me get my arm stronger. How about let's play better in the game? Let's hit the ball in the game. Who cares if you could hit a ball 95 exit velocity, but if you're swinging and missing, doesn't matter. You're not gonna get recruited.
Right. Yeah. So to go off of that, so hey, listen, if you can hit the ball 95 miles an hour, so let's say you go to an event, TrackMan has you at 95 MVP, which is great because that shows me and it shows coaches and it shows other people, hey, listen, there's some juice in the bat, right? So now take that 95 exit velocity, right? Let's put a pitcher in there who's throwing 87, 88 miles an hour, right? Now, how does that 95 exit velocity translate to live pitching? Because now, if you swing and you miss all the time, where's that 95 exit velocity? Is there a 95 exit velocity on a swing and miss?
Nope.
In a live game? No. So, like, the measurable stats are good. So, you brought up throwing velocity, throwing. Like, listen, outfielders should have strong arms. Middle infielders, shortstop should have strong arms. So, you should be able to run. So, like, those are the measurable stats are good pieces because you have to have those pieces in order for it to translate. But the problem is now when you have the measurables, how does it translate to game? Like, are you able to take what your showcase stats are and now duplicate those with your fundamentals and your skills in a live game setting? So measurable stats are really good tools, and we obviously use them here too, and they are used in recruiting, but they have to translate to game. If they're not translating to game, then they don't mean as much. They mean you could throw hard, or they mean you can hit a ball hard, when it's in a controlled setting. How is it when it's not in a controlled setting?
Definitely. Now I got a question, but it's like two questions, but it's in the same like category.
Sure.
When a college coach reaches out to a player, how should a player stay in contact? How often should the player reach out? But let's say also a coach reaches out to a player, sends him a text, player's not interested. He's like, no, definitely I don't want to go there or something. How should the player react to that as well?
All right, so let's tackle the first part of the question again. Read that first part of the question again because it was a long one.
When a college coach reaches out to a player, how should the player stay in contact, and how often should the player reach out to the coach?
All right, so the coach is probably going to dictate a lot of that, and it's really going to depend on your grad year too. So, if it's before September 1st of your junior year, a lot of the communications you're going to get are camp emails, which
Yeah.
What I want to do though is as I answer this question, I'm going to use a player that we have to really kind of answer it the best way for you, because like you have to be proactive in the recruiting process. It's not going to be handed to you. We are definitely going to help. So we are definitely going to help. But I'm going to use you as an example, Kyle. And the reason I'm going to use you as an example is because honestly, I've never seen any player that we've had kind of attack the recruiting process like you have. Really, from the beginning, you coming here, like a year and a half ago. So I think what you did, really well, and what players can kind of learn from is you have a goal. What am I going to do to get to that goal? And for anybody listening, what Kyle did is he reached out and he asked me a bunch of questions. I gave him the answers, and he went and he looked up every coach, every email, every cell phone, created an email. He wrote an email, sent it to me, helped, word it, the right way, and send that out to whatever school you may be interested in. Now, that email, especially as, should always have some kind of content. So it's got to have video, because these coaches are getting tons of emails every single day. So you have to stand out. So are they going to read every email? No. So you need to do something that's really going to set you apart. You have to do something that's going to catch the coach's eye. You have to have video. You have to have good quality video in it. What you did is you took it every school that you're interested in, when you're coming from ninth grade into 10th grade, and you emailed every single coach. You took the initiative to actually go and try to call coaches and get them on the phone, which usually it happens in reverse, where coaches as a underclassmen are reaching out to us we're setting up the calls. Like you did something that I've never ever had a player do, which is actually call a coach. Some of them actually picked up the phone and talked to you, right?
Yeah.
So it starts to teach you, you know, that process. So um, it's definitely a hard process, right? It's not an easy process.
Mm-hmm.
So the more proactive you are, the better off you're going to be. I mean, you were doing this, you know. I mean, when's the last emails you sent out? October, beginning of November.
Yeah.
You know, so and you're still going off that same mindset. So to know, so as an underclassman, the only time that they can actually respond to you is about a camp, or if you call them and they pick up the phone, or if a call is obviously set up by a third party. So your communication is going to be a little different as a ninth grader and a 10th grader before you get to that September 1st year, because it's if you send them an email, they can send you back a thank you, pretty much, send you camp information. If you have good video in that, what are they going to do? They're going to reach out to me or one of the coaches here, and then we could start a dialogue. So, players definitely want to make sure they get on that. The thing is coaches don't really tell you when they don't want to talk to you anymore. So that's the thing. As a junior now, it's a little different because you can actually have contact with the coaches. If you have a coach that you're texting or calling and they haven't picked up in a while and they haven't responded to you in a while, that probably just means they're like the girl that you were texting who stopped responding to you. She's probably not interested in you anymore. So it kind of goes to that route. So so that's probably where you're at. But I mean, that's what we're here for as well. Like, so guys in the organization will reach out and say, hey, is this school still interested in? We reach out, we find out the information. I mean, I've given you some harsh feedback from some guys, but listen, it's better to be honest and real. So this way you now as a player know what you need to do and need to work on, to kind of get to that. So I think that probably takes care of the first part. And what was the second part?
Oh, hold on. I gotta find this question. I can't even remember. I deleted the question part. Yeah.
But I think we kind of answered. I think it was about the call, and I think it was about the calling back. Yeah. So I think we kind of handled that. So I mean, but basically, as you're going through the recruiting process, you want to be able to put yourself out there as much as possible. One thing I'm going to say to stay away from is too much social media. All right, too much social media is not good. So, I mean, I myself just actually unfollowed a player today on Twitter just because it's too much. It's so if you're going to comment on every single post of somebody who posts something, and you're always continuously following the feed, it just gets to be monotonous and too much. So, my advice to our guys is, make sure you're putting good quality stuff out on social media, and pick your times when you're going to do it. If you're putting something out every single day, you're overexposing yourself. So what you're doing is you're giving somebody a reason to not like what they see, So the more you see something, you're going to nitpick it, right? So it's going to be like, well, they're doing this, or they're doing that, or they're doing this. So putting the best quality stuff out, players now in the winter, this is your time when you're able to kind of use social media to your advantage. Once a week is good. Compile all your stuff, put it out there. Just going on the social media stuff, just make sure you're not liking stuff, retweeting stuff that's negative stuff, because that will come back to kind of haunt you. But so that's
with how we were talking about contacting coaches and stuff. Let's say a school reaches out to a player and sends him a text like, "Hey Johnny, I saw you on Twitter. I liked everything. Can you give me a text back or send me your transcript, etc." But let's say you're not interested in the school. What should the players like? How should the player react to that text?
So, I mean, just remember, you never know where that coach is going to end up in 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years. So, I mean, you always want to make sure that you're being respectful, to the coach's time, obviously your time, and being upfront. So, I mean, if it's something that you're, you know, not interested in, it's definitely okay to be, honest up front, because if you're not honest up front with it, then you're wasting your time. You're definitely wasting the coach's time, and he needs to recruit guys that want to be there. It might be something to where, listen, like you're a high academic player, you want to go to a certain school, it might be about major, it might be about academics, it might be about geography, might be, hey, like I'm a country kid, I want to be in the country, I don't want to be in the city. I want to be in the city, I don't want to be in the country.
Yeah.
It could be a whole lot of different factors. So, I mean, if it's something right off the bat that you're not going to be interested in, I mean, it's easy to be, upfront with them, but I mean, you also don't want to shut all doors. Um, so you want to make sure that you're, respectful to the coach and to the program, on that while you do it.
hmm As we talk about coaches, I could speak for example, but the question is, let's say a coach comes to watch Johnny play. Johnny doesn't have his best stuff that day. Does the school take him off their list?
I mean, it would all really depend on where they're at, and so it's a loaded question because it could be two different responses in all reality. So the answer to that question could be determined on what's the player's grad year, what's the player's position, what other players are they recruiting in that grad year or that position. So
Yeah.
you being a 24, right? So you being a 24, obviously if they've seen you and they like you, they're going to come and watch you.
Yeah.
Now, are they going to write you off of one bad outing? No. And pitchers and hitters are going to be different. Are going to be different as well. Pitchers obviously, have it they have it a little bit easier, but it's a little bit harder as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I say it's easier is because they usually recruit more pitchers. They're going to recruit more pitchers than they recruit, catchers. They're going to recruit more pitchers than they recruit, middle infielders or third basemen or outfielders. Um, so like you will have, pitchers usually have a little bit more opportunities. The thing with a pitcher is you have one bad outing, you don't get that another outing again until the next event. If you're the shortstop or you're the catcher, playing 2 games on a Saturday, they get to roll right back out there and do it again. So, based upon that, like if you're pitching and it's early June, like, and you're a rising senior, like you're going to get another opportunity. Some of those guys are probably going to come out and watch you again. But if you continually have a bad outing, that's when they're going to start to, write you off. Now, if you're a ninth grader or a 10th grader, it's a little bit different. Like, so you might have good stuff. They might want to see you get a little bit stronger. So like, there's different factors into it based upon, really positions and, kind of where that school is at in the recruiting process with guys. Um, so it kind of gives you like a little bit of insight to, going into your junior, going into senior year, summer, kind of where you would be, where you would be at there with them, say, writing you off or not writing you off. And, each coach is different too. So like there could be so many different variations of answers to that question. But that one response there will kind of give you a little bit there.
Now, for my last question is probably one of the biggest and not answered questions on the internet. what is the parents' role in the recruiting process? How involved should they be?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Um, so let's tackle the first part of what the parents should be involved in, of being part of the game itself. So you know, a lot of coaches will sit in the stands, right? So the unfortunate part is sometimes parents can be the reason that you're not getting recruited as well. Um, Depending on how they are, the parents yelling at umpires, or they talking about other players on the team, they're doing all that other stuff because coaches hear all that stuff. They're out there right where the parents are. So um, when a parent comes, I mean, they should really be involved in their child. Enjoy the game. Like, they're only going to watch you play for so long, and then it's over, and then we go back as adults and we sit on the couch and we watch guys play on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only watch your kid play baseball or play any sport for so long. So really soak it in and enjoy it. Like, that's going to be my advice on you know at the field stuff. Like, enjoy it. If we're always negative about everything, then you know there's nothing to enjoy. Like, we're not really enjoying the game at that point. But in regards to, like, helping you behind the scenes, so I mean, the best thing a parent could do is like, go back to the beginning of the conversation and talk about support, right? So they need to support you, help you make decisions. I mean, you're a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So is every decision you make going to be the right one? No. So be there, be an advocate. So you know, you know, what are we looking for? Like, sit down. Like, what are we looking for academically? Sit down, have a meeting with with your athlete. Like, what are we looking for academically? Ask these questions. Where do we want to be geographically? Do we want a big school? Do we want a small school? Go out and watch. So in the spring, go and watch. A Binghamton who's close. To say where you are. So go out and watch a division. You want to be a Division I athlete? And how can I help my kid in the recruiting process? Go watch a Division I school play. All right. Go do I match that level? Go watch a Division II school play in the spring. Go watch a Division III school play. Go watch a junior college play. NAIA, we don't really have many of those in the Northeast. But so one, go find all that stuff. Like, see a campus. Like, you might not know if you want a small school or a big school until you actually step foot on that campus. So what they could do is help you try to determine that. So grades. I mean, grades are really important. So obviously they have a hand in that too. So they really push you in school. It's much easier to get a 3.5 or better, player, looks and committed, because it's easier for a coach to get those players into school. So the better grades you have, the more money you're going to get. Division I baseball has 11.7 scholarships. Division II has less. Division III is all academic money and grant money. So if anybody's telling you they have free ride for baseball and they're paying zero, it's probably not correct, because they're not getting 100% baseball. Maybe they're getting 50% baseball, and maybe they're getting 50%, academic. So they might not be paying for school, but it's not all on baseball money. So, really push, your players to be very good in school. It's easier for the 3.5 guy to get committed than a 2.8. The reason why is because the 2.8 guy has less opportunities, because there's less schools that are you're gonna be able to get into. So I think just so the best part of helping you through the process is really trying to help you determine, one, academics, two, being able to help you realize your dreams by showing you, what it is and what it takes to kind of play at those different levels. I think those are, some key, important things. And obviously, biggest thing is just be supportive.
Hmm. In closing, I want to thank you, Joe, for taking your time to share information and letting kids know what they're getting themselves into in the recruiting process and what they have to do if they want to play college baseball. Lastly, I want to thank you for everything you do for me and how great of a relationship we have. Northeast Pride on top, as always. If you want to be a line, come to Northeast Pride.